Shalawam, it's your brother Makazad. It's the Scriptures No Vain Opinions in conjunction with Yasha Allah for your learning. Alright, calling you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans and wherever else the Holy Seed is scattered back to our God, the God of Israel. Alright, repent for the kingdom is at hand, which true repentance is keeping the law, statutes, and commandments and having faith in his son, the Messiah, the King of our nation, which his name is YAHAWASHI, which the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Alright, I want to give all praises to YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. Alright, which is the name of the Father and the name of the Son. Alright, so this is, pretty much the finale, to the Deuteronomy 28, verse 68, revisited. And, I'm going to touch into the Ladinos, and show how, the connection with being Israel, as well as, them going into captivity. So a lot of what you're going to be seeing, you're going to see a lot of stuff, like a lot of stuff you will see Ladino, but you'll also see stuff like African. So again, you have to understand um, the context, because again, all this stuff is hidden, and this is what the world pushes, that the Negro is an African. He's not. They don't push that he's the real Jew. But as I brought out in my Marrano video, showing you how those that were expelled from Spain and Portugal, or more so Spain, and fled into Portugal, but also they went from Portugal into West Africa and North Africa, were Israelites, and they were black people. Okay, so I want to show that Ladino is pretty much the same thing, but it was more so the aspect of those Israelites actually taking on the Christianity, and or because they knew, they were familiar with the Spanish culture or the Spanish language. Okay, because you had the Ladinos and then the Bozales. I believe that's how you say it. But the Ladinos were more acculturated with the Spanish culture, and the Bozales, they weren't. Okay, so that you'll see those two terms basically. All right, so I just wanted to start off with the definitions, and when you look at Ladino, they try to so a lot of stuff that I'm gonna be proving and showing is from sources, books, and things like that, and text. So it's not gonna be which is gonna show, and it's gonna back up. For instance, this and most definitions nowadays are gonna say that a Ladino is someone of mixed ancestry, or a mestizo, um, which that to an extent is true, but the term that's fairly new, where it was referred to as a mestizo. Um, Before that, it was mainly for the Negro. Okay, and I'm gonna prove that. But I also wanted to show that Ladino was also a language, which was a mixture of Spanish and the Hebrew, which was started by the Jews in Spain before they got expelled. Okay, so you have this term, Judaismo. Okay, and like I was saying, when you type in Ladino, you're not gonna get anything talking about the Negro. So you'll have to go to like Black Ladino, which I'm gonna get some stuff out of the Wikipedia, but like I said, I'm gonna be backing it up with other sources, so it's not, oh, you're on Wikipedia, you know what I'm saying? So, but when you there's really nothing that goes into the Ladino being black, because I'm gonna bring out a definition showing you before the like the 19th century, how, why is it changed. Okay, but when you go over to Judaismo, so the Judaismo, you see it has to do with the language, sacred Jewish texts. And then you go to Judaismo, it says another name for Ladino, Jewish, and it says a language based on Old Spanish and written in Hebrew script, spoken by descendants of Sephardic Jews expelled from Spain in the 15th century. Okay, and if you haven't peeped my Marrano video, watch that first and then watch this to get an understanding of those Jews in Spain, which were black. Okay, so from there, let's get the first definition. All right, so this is from Iberia and the Americas: Culture, Politics, and History, Volume 1. It was edited by John Michael Francis. So this is the Ladino, the definition. Okay. It says the term Ladino is of uncertain origin in Spain, but it is generally referred to foreigners, often slaves, who had become Spanish speakers and professed the Christian faith. Over time, its meaning shifted so that by the late 19th century, it meant non-Indian, and it increasingly became synonymous with mestizo. In early colonial Spanish America, the term Ladino applied almost exclusively to African slaves and native peoples of the Americas, as in the usage Negros Ladinos or Indios Ladinos, to mean the same as it did in Spain. Ladino tended to be used as an adjective to describe populations that were otherwise considered foreign to the Spanish. By the 18th century, the comparative decline in native populations that could not communicate in Spanish and the attendant growth to mixed race populations transformed the use of Ladino so that it became synonymous with mixed race. Castas, especially mestizos and mulattoes. Although the word lost flavor in many parts of Latin America after independence, it remained a key term in Central America, where it is still used today. Throughout the 19th century, Ladino was still used to mean mixed race. Okay, so that was the point I wanted to get. So, which I'm going to bring something else out as well to show that it did also mean someone of a mix, like a mulatto, you know. Okay, and we have to understand that the real indigenous, the natives, they were also called Negro. And, I could possibly do a lesson on that as well. But yeah, the whole doctrine of that that blacks, or they were never dark skinned Indians, and they only came through slavery as far as mixing in with the natives, which no, that's not true. They were always, you had dark skinned Negroid Native Americans. So they were, and there's many explorers that stated that they looked like Moors or Negroes or Ethiopians, so on and so forth. Okay, but just to show that it was exclusively labeled to African slaves or Marranos or the Israelites. Okay, so like I said, you're gonna see African, but if you put the pieces together, then you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, so let me see. So this is from the Britannica Concise Encyclopedia, and for Ladino it says Central American whose primary language is Spanish and who wears modern dress. Genetically, Ladinos may be of Indian, African, or mixed descent. Okay, so just showing you that that term was based around those three I guess race classifications. All right, so an Indian may be a Ladino by abandoning the Indian dress and customs. Okay, so just like with the Negro, going into Christianity pretty much, and then like I said, which I'm gonna further prove, but going into the Christian doctrine per se, he was a Ladino plus again because he knew the Spanish, knew the culture, so on and so forth. Okay, so just wanted to bring that out. Okay, so and this is from the American Encyclopedia Popular Dictionary of General Knowledge, Volume 5, and it says all the offices are in the hands of Spaniards, being the rewards generally of political services. Of the Negroes, those who speak Spanish are called Ladinos. Those who do not, Bazales. Okay, so of the Negroes, those who speak Spanish are called Ladinos. Okay, so just to show that connection, so let's go to showing how the Israelite. Okay, so it said it so happened that in 1496 and 97, Portuguese kings João II and Manuel I hoarded hundreds of thousands of Jews, sent them into exile on the West African coast of Guinea and Biafra, which I brought out in the Marrano video, and on the islands of Cape Verde and Sao Tome, into a life of perpetual slavery. These particular branch of the Iberian Moorish Hebrews are called the Ladinos. Ladino means Latinized Negroes. It was a racist term used for the black Jews of Iberia who were soon deported to African islands and coastal settlements and used as the first slaves in the sugar plantations. And there's a link that you can go to, which I'll put the link in the description. Alright, so from there, let me get there's something that goes hand in hand with that. So this is from Forged in the Fiery Furnace, African American Spirituality by Diana Hayes. And it says on page 35, Roman Catholic influences, it says the first Africans in the United States, however, came with the Spanish conquistadors and spoke little or no English. Because you had a lot of also like Marranos that came with the conquistadors to like whether it was to interpret or just because a lot of them used them because of their knowledge of Spain and knowledge of the language and stuff like that. So that's a lot of the Spanish conquistadors, which I'm gonna bring out another source later to show that's what they were doing. Okay, but it says the date of 1619, usually given as when the first Africans arrived, applied only to the English colonies and English American history. The great majority of Africans who came in the 16th century were Ladinos, baptized Spanish-speaking Roman Catholics who either had been born in Latin America or lived in Spain. Okay. In the early 1500s, Spain exiled hundreds of black Ladinos. So let me read that again. In the early 1500s, Spain exiled hundreds of black Ladinos. So who were those people that were exiled during that time, during the 14th and 15th century? The Jews, the Israelites. See, but it's going to form and put, it's the way it's going to be written in these books, even by our people that write books, because they don't really know the truth, or they, it's suppressed. So they're gonna put things like Africans and stuff like that. But as we can see, even in the Marrano video showing you that in the 1500s, that the exile, those that were exiled were the Israelites, were Jews. Okay, and they were black. So, but even just referring here that hundreds of black lads, so it wasn't the Marranos and then Ladinos both being sent out. No, because they were the same people. Okay, So it just like they were called Marranos, they were called Ladinos. It's the, it's same. Ladinos. They were called Ladinos. It's same. Yeah, being called Negro, being called Moor. Okay, so that's all that represented. They came some free, but many enslaved to the Americas and became a critical source of labor and help in establishing and maintaining the colonies. Okay. So my main point was just to show in the early 1500s, Spain exiled hundreds of black Ladinos. Okay. So just to show that we know those, that's talking about the Marranos. All right.